Hi, it's Jane. Someone pointed out, and I'm going to show this because I finished this one, that when I had started part 4, previously I'd put in 4 rows of half double crochet, and that would bring you to row 27. Excuse me. And that is absolutely true. You would have been starting at row 27. But you know what? I forgot to do the half double crochet rows. So that's why we wound up on the round 24. Is because Jane forgot to do the half double crochet rows in between. What can I say? Sometimes I'm a bumbling idiot. Now, you'll see how this row with the bobble stitches kind of curves up a little bit. And one of the ways that you can fix that is actually, instead of putting the half double crochet in the stitch next to it, by skipping a stitch and then putting the half crochet in the next one, then doing a bobble that way. But that's not what I chose to do because I think this next row will actually even it out. So I did not write out the bobble stitch, and we need to do that before we get going. I will show you that I have got a sheet where I have actually written out those special stitches in preparation for the pattern itself. And like I said, with the bobble stitches, it's not recommended that you do them on each end. So we'll need to write out what we did here. And I am going to go ahead and go with row 31 as the bobble stitch row. If you did the half double crochets in between, you would be on row 35 instead of row 31. Like I said, sometimes I make mistakes. You know, I'm human. So what we have here is row 31. We did a half double crochet. So you can either chain 2 or chain 1, turn. Oops, helps to have that in the screen, doesn't it? Turn, half double crochet in same stitch. And what we did here then was we actually did a half double crochet into the next 2. Zoom that in a little bit more. And then we did our bobble stitch. Because we could just say bobble in next stitch. Half double crochet in next stitch. And then we're going to repeat that. And then we need to find out what we did in the center. And we got up to the last 2 stitches. No, last stitch. Because you have the half double in the next. So you're going to do that till the last stitch before the center. Chain 1 stitch. You will put 2 half double crochet, chain 1, 2 half double crochet in chain 1 space, and you've got that there. And then you'll put, and I just chose to do this because I thought it would work better, double crochet in the next half double crochet in next 2 stitches, and then bobble in next stitch, half double crochet in next stitch, and that will be a repeat to the last 2 stitches. No, last stitch. To the last stitch. That worked for me. Now, if you did those 4 rows of half double crochet, it may be the last 2 stitches, and you would just put half double crochets to the last with 2 in last stitch. Okay? Now for me, it's row 32. For some of you, it may be row 36. Hope that makes it as clear as mud. I'm telling you, sometimes my brain doesn't work on the same level that my patterns do, which is why you always have somebody double check what you're doing. Okay, so now we've gotten to that point. We're now ready to start the next row. Okay, sorry about that. Had to get everything straightened up. And so this next row, you're basically going to make a decision whether you want to do single crochets or half double crochets. I'm going to choose to do a half double crochet, so I've done a chain 2, half double crochet into that first one, and half double crochet into the next stitch. Oh, I didn't catch both of them. I prefer to catch both stitches. And then here you're going to see, if you'll turn your bobble just a little bit, you'll see the V stitch for your next stitch. And then you'll see that there for your next stitch. And you will just crochet across to your center 1 space. And if any of you are wondering what this yarn is, this is Red Heart Orchid. I have never worked with it where it is split so much as this actual skein. But there's a workaround. So you're just going to continue to your chain 1 space, and I'll meet up with you there. Okay, I already skipped ahead, but once I got to my chain 1 space, I put 2 half double crochets, chain 1 and 2, and now I'm starting down the other side of the row. I'll meet you up at the end. Okay, I'm at my last stitch, so I'm going to put two half doubles in there. Now, I am going to mention something. If some of you, when you're putting in your rows, when you're putting in your half double crochet, you see where it's kind of ruffling, here's a little trick. You can skip every other stitch, or you could do one of two things. Every once in a while, skip a stitch, or you could simply just not do the increases. That way, when this next row comes along, that's a fudge, people. When the next row comes along, it should even itself right out without any problems. I didn't have that problem with mine on this one, so I was okay with that. Now, I'm going to show you the one that I had originally started with the bobbles, and what I wound up doing with it. Did a half double crochet row, a double crochet, and then I put the shell on it. And this one is plenty big enough, so I'm leaving it go as it is. I did quite a few things a little differently. If you'll notice, after I got through with that waffle stitch, I did 4 rows of the double crochet, 3 together, 2 rows of double crochet, and then I actually did, I believe, 3 rows of the puff stitch. Nope. I did a row of the puff stitch. Nope, I did do 3 rows of the puff stitch, and then a double crochet, and then I went on to the popcorn stitch row here, and what we were doing the rest of the way. I did that while I was sick, because I was bored. Now, I am going to do 3 more rows of the half double crochet and increasing in the center and on each end. I'm going to do those 3 rows, and then I will meet up with you and we will do the actual finishing of the shell stitch. Okay guys, I've finished doing my 4 half double crochet rows, and I'm going to measure my shawl from the very tippy top down to the point, and it's roughly 27 inches, which is probably a good size for a shawlette, if that's what you want to do. I am going to finish this for you on camera, but we're going to write those rows for the half double crochet. So I'm going to put rows 32 through 35. In each stitch. Two half double crochet, chain 1, 2 half double crochet, and chain 1 space. Half double crochet in each stitch to last stitch. 2 half double crochets in last stitch. I did forget to put the chain 2 or 1, turn, half double crochet in same stitch. Now, I am stopping with the shawlette. I'm going to do the finishing, And I'm going to first show you the picot finish and then the shell finish. If you want your shawl longer, you should by now have the skills to actually take it further and do more rows. Same stitches we've done before or different stitches. You know, you could do half double crochet, chain one, skip a stitch, and add some other stitches in as you go if you want to. But I know that when I finish this, I'm going to show you the finishing, and we'll take it up for the shell. We'll take it up to the center chain one space, and then I'll show you some other options you can do with that. But I'm actually, once I get through with that, I'm going to rip this out, and I'm actually going to, I think, add another section of this front row post, double crochet in the next, and then I will do some finishing because I want my shawl to be a little bit bigger. But you've done your chain one or two, and actually we're going to do chain three, double crochet into that same stitch. I'm going to do that one more time. Actually, I'm not. Let's take that back out. I'm going to put another double crochet into that right there, and that makes a half shell. And then I'm going to skip two to a single crochet. Oh, I was going to show you the picot. Oh boy, people. Let's do the picot first. Now the picot stitch you can actually do half double crochet, double crochet, whatever you want to do. Let's do half. I'm going to do one there, double crochet, half double crochet here, and then probably one more before I start my picots. And a picot normally is where you would chain three and then slip stitch into that first stitch there, and then do a double crochet, half double crochet into the next stitch. And that is a normal picot. I don't really care for those, so this is generally what I do. I actually do a chain 2, 3, and I'm going to zoom in for a little bit of this part, and then I take it and I go into this stitch and this one right here, do my picot, slip stitch it, and then I actually go and I do a single crochet into that stitch. And generally I think that stands up a little bit better. And if you want stitches in between, you could certainly do, maybe 3 half double crochets in between, 4, whatever your little heart desires. But if you have a preferred way to do your picot, by all means do it. Like I said, I do a chain 3, then I go into this stitch here, just the one leg, and that leg there, do a slip stitch, and yeah, it looks a little funny, and then I do a single crochet back into that same stitch for my picots, because I like the way that they stand up a little bit better that way. That is just my odd, quirky way of doing things. You could certainly do it any way you want. And I would do that all the way across and probably put a picot into the center space. Now we're going to do the shell. Generally do a chain 3 and do 2 double crochet. Sorry. 2 double crochets in that end stitch, and then I generally will skip 2, double crochet, single crochet, skip 2, and I like to do 5 or 7. This one I'm going to actually do 5 double crochets into the same stitch. Skip 2, single crochet, and I think that evens it out nicely. Now if you want it to be closer, you could certainly just do a skip 1, then do a single crochet, skip 1, and then do your shell, and that'll just bring your shells a little bit closer. You know, this is just my preferred way of doing it, so I'll skip 2 and put another shell. I hope that with this wild cow, it has taught you to be a little adventurous with your own patterns, your own designs, to play a little bit. I think too many times we get in the habit of thinking we have to do it exactly the same way that someone else did it. And I think this wild cow was, for me, it was interesting because I got to see if I could actually make something out of some of the stitches we chose. Which, you know, at times I was like, how's that gonna work? And yes, I do always stop to count my shell, because there's nothing worse than getting all the way to the end, to your finishing, and realizing that one of your shells only has 4 stitches, or 6 stitches, or 5 if you've done the shell of the 7. And these are just some of the few stitches that I actually do stop on and just do a quick little look-see to make sure that I got the right number. Gonna pan out just a little bit. Oops, went the wrong way, didn't I? Gonna get me some more yarn here because I have my nice little cake. And skip 2 to another shell. Now, if you do decide to make your, shawl a little bit bigger, you may need to do what I said were some of those bridge stitches where as you get closer to the center or wherever, you may need to actually, do an extra single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, whatever, to get the bridge for your pattern to be correct for you. But the idea of this was just to have a little bit of fun and to play and for you to make your own shawl. Now in the Facebook group, I am actually going to do a pinned post for you to put your progress, because I know that these have been long So some of you may still be in progress, some of you may be keeping up, but I want to put a place for you to put pictures of your shawls if you would like to. And then I'm also going to put an album for the finished ones. And hopefully ours will not all be alike. Or they may all be alike, if you chose to follow my rather strange mistakes. Can you see how that sunlight's coming in the window? Let me change my light up a little bit. See if we can get rid of some of that glare. Yeah, those are clouds and everything passing over. I have a window over there to that side. And there used to be a lot of trees there. But our neighbor, well, the neighbor that actually lived there is in a nursing home. She's about 95. And she's reaching her last days. And of course her grandson was responsible for the house next door and doing all the mowing and keeping the snow off the walks and all that kind of stuff. And some of his friends that lived in Boston that did online textbooks wanted to move back. So they purchased the house from him. It was all in his name. And the new people that have come in cut most of the trees out of the yard, which kind of upset me and the squirrels. You know, squirrels got used to using those to get around and get their food and for their nest and whatnot. Well, the squirrels have figured it out now, so they've got a new route. And but it opened up and put a lot of sunlight in that window, which changes filming for me. We do not have curtains in that window because why? The only time I'm in there, I'm in here sewing. You know, I don't come in here naked, so that can bring some lighting issues that I hadn't even thought about. So I may need to think now about putting some curtains up. Or as we did when we first got here, couldn't find any curtains I liked. So I bought Martha Stewart at the local Kmart. They had a big sale on her towels. So we just bought a bunch of big towels. And I used those for curtains until I found some or made some that I liked. Now, what I want to do is I want to put a shell right here. So I'm actually going to just skip one this time. And that way I can put my shell right into that chain one space. And then of course I would do the same thing. Just put my single crochet there. And then I would continue down the other side, and then at the very end that last stitch would only get three double crochets, so it would be the other half shell. Now what I thought I would show you is something I was thinking about last night. Now remember, I'm going to rip this out because I'm going to add another section of the front post double crochet thing. So here is an option you could do when you were, if you decided you wanted to add a little extra here. So you could actually do single crochet, single crochet, single crochet to that third stitch, and then put a picot right here. And do a single crochet, oops, single crochet, and another picot. So if you wanted to, you could change up your finishing to add your picot to your shells. Like I said, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Like I said, I hope that you gained a lot of experience using this, playing with this, and learning to write some patterns and how to play with things. Now, once again, for my picot, picot normally is a single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch into first chain, and then generally a single crochet either in the next stitch or the same stitch, or next stitch. Now your shell finish, generally for it you would chain 3 for the first, 2 double crochet in same stitch, skip, skip either 1 or 2 stitches, 5 double crochet in next stitch, skip 1 or 2 stitches, single crochet, and then you would just repeat that across. So I'm going to finish and sign off for this cowl. I hope you enjoyed it. The next cowl is going to be the Tunisian crochet along, and it is basically just going to be like a lapcan or a small blanket. Mine is probably going to be a very small blanket, and we'll do some of the different stitches for like a sampler blanket. I haven't decided what we're going to do with the knit along. I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to do the thing where I gave you the pole and you get to decide what stitches, because that's scary with knit. So I will see you again soon, and I hope you enjoyed this little cowl. And I know it was long, but I hope you got a lot and learned a lot from it. See you soon.